When we were in Alaska trying to figure out what it was going to look like coming back here, actually before we even knew we were going to plant a church, my wife and I spent a couple of weeks in prayer and fasting. Through that, came to the conclusion that planting a church is what we felt like God was leading us to do. And interesting enough, after that 2 weeks of prayer and fasting, we both independently came to the conclusion that we felt Travelers Rest we were familiar with the area as we'd lived not too far from here. So we knew the area, and we both felt like that's where God was drawing us to.
It was a marvelous day when we got the phone call, and they had asked us to pray if God would want us to walk beside them on this journey.
I had told Pastor Rob the day they left to move to Alaska, if you ever come back and start a church, I'm there.
I'm driving down Route 276, which is the road right out here, and I see a sign, and it has an arrow pointing to the right, and it's about this big, and it says, Church for Sale.
The original thought was we're just happy to have a space, so I was okay with the fact that it's not ideal. It's a little traditional looking church, not really what we had our ultimate idea of.
Literally as soon as we got back, we opened the front doors and we walk in and we're like, this building needs quite a bit of work.
It was in disrepair.
Lime green pews and a dusty blue carpet that was filthy.
And so I was standing on the porch, really sort of before walking across the threshold into the room, I just turned around and I saw this new beautiful metal building a block away, and I thought, boy, why can't we have something like that?
We had a whole crew of people in here, and we got this whole entire building painted. God just supplied exactly what we needed when we needed it.
It was amazing, miraculous to me, the way things just kept falling into place.
Building up to our first actual service here, everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong. And then we had people flying in from California, Alaska, the Midwest, Northeast, Southeast, and people from all over the country were coming in to celebrate with us this first service. Had everybody stay afterwards and eat, and it was a big party, and we had like the greatest time, and it was a sort of a spiritual and emotional high. And then the next Sunday came, and all those people had gone home.
And you have 20 to 30 people that came back.
And the reality sort of hit that this is really what starting a church is like.
It was weird because I was used to going to a big church, over 1,000 people here in Greenville growing up, and it was just 15 of us starting out.
The very first thing I remember about Upcountry Church when they came down here and got it started was my ministry in this church has been the nursery. I have always loved babies and children, and so that was a natural fit for me. And I started staying in the nursery right from day one whenever there were any babies.
My dad is the pastor, and as far back as I can remember, I remember celebrating the first year of the church's birthday, and there is like this big bouncy castle, and it was really fun.
I would probably not be the same person had my family and I not moved back down here and started this church.
I loved getting to have to be like the first youth kid of this church. I thought that was so cool to get to do that.
Rob and Mary Beth were my youth pastors way back in the day. So when I saw that they were coming back, I was just like, where are you going to be? Because I'm going to be there, because that's the only church I want to be a part of.
So she came one day and she said, hey, Rob and Mary Beth are here in Travelers Rest. It's like, well, that's awesome. I've been to Travelers Rest. It's really nothing. So we went out here and we checked it out, and we sat here and we moved some junk away, and we sat down for the lesson and we started talking about Acts and what the church was like in Acts. From that point I said, okay, here's someone who really knows the Word of God, and I really want to be a part of it.
If we had started the first day with the people and resources and talent and all the things that we have now, we wouldn't have known what to do with all of that.
We took a big, huge leap of faith, if I can be cliche, and but man, God has just carried us the whole way through.
7 years in, here we are in a completely different place than we were 7 years ago when we started, and it feels like day one. The idea that we now have replicated what we're doing in another location feels like just the beginning. The fact that we're in a a drug and alcohol rehab facility feels like it's just the beginning. The fact that our sermons are now online and in a podcast and being put out for the world, it feels like it's just the beginning. The teaching that we're doing, it's all feels like we've just started.
It's been amazing to watch how we can look back and see God's faithfulness to supply exactly what we needed when we needed it.
It just gives me great joy to see what's going on in our church.
We believe that discipleship happens through community and just building community with each other and living out the gospel. So that's exactly what we started to do.
And it is been repeatedly proven that if you are faithful with what God has given us, when He gave us this little building, when He gave us the church that we have now, He's grown our responsibilities, and if you're faithful with that, then He will continue to give you more.
You know, at Upcountry Church, I think what makes us tick is the fact that we're experiencing this life together as we live out the gospel. And honestly, that is what has driven this ministry the last 7 years, and we feel like it's what's launching us into the future as well.
To God be the glory. Happy birthday, Upcountry Church.
Happy birthday, Upcountry Church.
Happy